Mary, you amaze me.
Percy and Byron preach free love. I practice it.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Omega Files. I'm your host, Dr. Freedom, and tonight we've gathered to talk about The Haunting of the Via, whatever its name. It's had like 3 different pronunciations in the last half hour. I don't know. We'll go with Via Diodati. All right. Sounds simple, sounds nice, sounds eloquent. But a very interesting tale involving some rather spooky stuff. Graham seeing things, which I thought was amazing. And also a literally half-baked Cyberman. And, I want to hear you guys. Well, I want to hear what you say on it. This week, let's start at the top. We're going to start with Connor Farley.
For a shockingly horrific episode, I guess you could say, I have another shock horror in saying that actually the only faults I have about this episode are very nebulous. In that, I think some of the only issues really to me, come with really, I don't think it was long enough. I would have liked another 15 minutes of it, to be honest. More of the Cyberman, because that was great. Like the way that they've reinvented the Cybermen, it like the Daleks with resolution, I think was the standout part of this episode. You know, when did we ever expect a Cyberman to talk about slitting throats and then going around and breaking people's necks? You know, it's a really horrific take on a villain, I thought, that actually ran out of ideas worse than the Daleks did. So to see Chibnall and Maxine Alderton, who I believe is coming back for Series 13, thank God, come up with an idea like this, fair play to them. I liked how it started out as a ghost story, and then they used the ghost element to kind of feed in the Cyberman, and then it turned into something completely different. Turned into a bit of a heavy arc piece, I guess you could say, without Chibnall co-writing it, which is a bit of a weird one. Maybe he entrusted Maxine Alderton with that sort of material and writing that sort of arc heavy material as well. All the characters were perfectly casted. Mary Shelley, Polidori, Byron. I got a few quite shocking moments, I think, throughout it, because I actually thought on 2 occasions that the BBC were going to allow the showing of the killing of a baby. When, you know, they showed the skull and the hand in the bed, I thought that, you know, something had stripped away its skin, which is a bit too graphic maybe. But also, you know, when the Cyberman lifted it up, you thought it might kill it, and then obviously when they found when the doctor found it on the floor, draped in all of the cloth or whatever it was, it took quite a few bold, horrific moves. I thought that could have, you know, in this age of complaining, could have got a few naysayers against it. But as I said, I think the haunted house element worked really well, how the rooms were repeating themselves and everything like that. It added a lot to the story, I thought, because it was 2 different kind of stories. As I said, I think it fed very nicely into the Cyberman thing, which is a bit, I felt was a bit different in tone to the first half an hour maybe of the story. Very nebulous faults really for this episode. I think I'll get into detail later and let everyone else speak for now.
Alrighty. Yeah, very reminiscent of another location, if I remember right, that's in Switzerland. Castrovalva. Yeah, a little bit of recursive occlusion going on there. Had me, fading back to a certain, Time Lord's first episode, Peter Davison there. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's head over to Callan.
Yeah, I like this one. It's a great improvement here. Cyberman has something to say with the 2 catchphrases, which are vulgarly awful and then they just they're very scary, but once you've seen them do the same stick time after time after time. And there's not much to these things nowadays. Bring back the classic Cybermen. I want to see a fight between a classic Cybermen and these new ones, and I can hear a big ding dong and see how it gets waxed in the crossfire. Anyway, enough from me.
All righty. Okay, next up, Philip.
This was a good episode for me. At first, in the beginning, I thought, okay, it plodded along nicely. I mean, the characterization of each people in that house was kind of spot on in a way that I enjoy that kind of period drama. And when it started ramping up towards the reveal of the Cyberman and what went on beyond that, I thought this is good because it also gave you an insight into what it's like to be a Cyberman. You've got a human being inside this thing, and he's only half done, or obviously, or unless he's damaged, and you've got that. But it was good because he was a lot more frightening than what you get when you get a Cyberman that talks like that and acts like that. That's what you call a Cyberman. When you get the ones that we get before, they're just automatons. I like to see this human side of a Cyberman in a Cyberman. So that kind of helped along for me. He was relentless, as they say, relentless. He was a lot more terrifying to behold, and he wasn't giving any quarter. I mean, but then the point is, the thing about that thing, what it's called, the Siberian thing, when it went into Jodie, I thought it was going to convert her there and then. I thought, she's done. She's going to get converted, but obviously not. But then I like the fact that she didn't listen to what Jack's warning, and she let it go and hand it over to the Cyberman, which obviously has to lead into what's happening in the next couple of weeks. It has to happen that way. So there you go, and that was good. But otherwise, the story was spot on. It was creepy. It was funny with Graham looking for the toilet and everything and all that. A few little in-jokes with everybody else. Everyone else was spot on in their characterization and acting. It was good.
Yeah, poor Graham there wandering around looking for the lavatory or whatever, and it's like, it's the chamber pot, dude. It's right there. Okay. All right, let's move over to Paul.
Oh, yeah. This was a spooky one there. That was my initial reaction, really spooky one. I think this is probably the most scariest Cyberman we've ever had, because you could see the flesh quite like, which is quite similar to 10th Planet Cybermen, because you can see the hand anyway in that, couldn't you? But this is even worse. This is even scarier, and I think they're probably the monsters that are probably the only ones in Doctor Who that I am a bit afraid of, because it could happen one day, with upgrades we have and, stupid ideas. Some nutter might say, let's, turn into Cybermen. I agree with what Connor said, that there should have been more of it should have come in earlier. That's definitely true. The beginning, I thought, reminded me a lot of Hyde. The beginning of Hyde, when they knock at the door, and that was my theory. I like I forgot his name, but the guy who turns up at the end, keep appearing and disappearing, that thing, and then it's explained why later on. Quite a good thing. We've possibly got genuine ghosts, that Graham saw. Anyone know? Is there an explanation why that hand and the skull was moving? Does anyone know why that were? No, there weren't an explanation for that. Yeah, and Byron was an utter creep. That was Graham was good this week, but I think he's probably my favourite of them three, because he's the funniest. There's no explanation, I don't think, that I heard, why that guy turned into a zombie either, the doctor. But I enjoyed it. I'll let someone else talk now.
All righty, let's keep moving. All right, next up, DWC.
Yeah, this was absolutely a fantastic episode. It was pretty creepy. Hang on, something's happening with my computer. It was definitely a creepy episode. And also, as we were going through it, we've heard that it was going to be a Cyberman story, but there was no real official confirmation of this. In fact, so much so that when it was going on, I was thinking, is this going to be a Cyberman story? Isn't it going to be a Cyberman story? Not quite sure. As Brian already said, also with going through the buildings, I immediately thought Castrovalva. And also, when Graham was looking for the toilet, I actually even had to do a double take, see that female ghost just suddenly disappear like that. But also, once the Cyberman was finally revealed, absolutely. Well, you just felt his presence, didn't you? He was absolutely creepier than he'd ever been before, and a lot more human, as Philip said, which is a great attitude. Simon. A negative for me, though, a negative more for me than anything else, because I like to focus on detail a lot, was when he suddenly appeared. The lighting was lit in a way where you couldn't quite see all the detail properly. And I understand why that was done. That's to build atmosphere. That's necessary, but that's just a tidbit for my part. But I mean, obviously you got through it a bit later and you did actually see the face, which I liked. But either way, I would have liked to see more of those details. I mean, even the arm, when we first saw those photos, I thought that this was a Cyberman who'd been Frankenstein from various different Cybermen, but now looking at it and even thinking as way back as when the Sixth Doctor adventure with the Cybermen, where you saw Lytton getting cybernized, and we didn't think, okay, this is actually just probably the initial stages of cybernization. But yeah, all around great episode, and leads into the next episode brilliantly. I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going to go. I mean, and you even saw in the trailer for the next episode that same Cyberman is going to be in it, so that's just exciting in itself.
Alrighty, let's keep moving. All right, next up, Bo.
I quite enjoyed this episode. It was a really great episode. I like the costumes that Graham, Ryan, and Yes wore. I thought they were really good. I like the portrayal of Marianne Percy Shelley and Lord Byron. I like the skeleton hand that was moving about in that. The partly converted lone Cyberman was really good. It had a bit of a longer appearance in this episode than what I expected. It was a really great ghost story. Yeah, no, it was really great. Bring on the final two-parter. It was really great.
Alrighty, okay. Next up, let's go to AJ.
Yeah, for me, I actually love this episode. Well done to the writer of this episode. It was dark. It was scary. To me, the house, it felt a bit like Oculus, that Karen Gillan movie where they're going through things and their perception is all warped. I thought it was brilliant. I like the whole ghost aspect. The Cyberman basically being severely damaged, from what I can tell. His faceplate's all cracked and he's all kinds of messed up. And we almost got a peek of probably Jodie becoming like Eleven did with the Mr. Clever, when he got partially cybernized, which I would have loved to have seen that, and possibly the Doctor become a threat to someone. But I'll explain more about what I liked and didn't like in this episode. But so far, a brilliant episode.
All right, next up, let's go to William.
As a story by itself, it stands up pretty good. Like everybody was saying, it's very scary. It has its moments. Actors play great role, and the look of the Cyberman was pretty different than anybody's ever seen before. But here's my gripe: I'm sick and tired. The BBC copying ideas from Big Finish to use it. We talked about this yesterday, and I thought, remember, Philip, I was saying, I thought this Mary Shelley was before she married Percy, and then so I had to go backtrack, and when the marriage happened like that, her son William was born right into a year after they were married. Previously, had a daughter who was a premature, and she passed away a few months. They were not married, and there was a big think about that in real life. About real life. William passed away before his third birthday from malaria, and then after that, they had another child, and that was she was born before Percy passed away, in which we saw, and the doctor showed them his way of dying in real life. So that those stuff in the episode stood up right there. I am sick and tired of these knuckleheads bombing from Big Finish. But if you want to know what happened with Mary Shelley, just freaking watch this. Just listen to this audio right here. I am sick of that. Now, if anybody wants to know what happens with the Cyberman and of course the warden everybody was talking about, go listen to Cyberman itself. That'll solve that. You don't have to wait a week. Just listen to it. That solves that nonsense. The thing is, like I said before, the story is not a bad idea. I'm sick and tired of the freaking borrowing from Big Finish too much. I've already done that with a male freaking dam. They already did that with a freaking River Song, and her father was borrowed from Big Finish. And The BBC loves taking the money from Big Finish for the licensing fee, but they don't get props when it's due. I know, and Phil was showing me that many times was mentioning that supposedly maybe this happened in certain different areas like that. It can, because the audio with Mary Shelley, it took place right after she was married and before she found out she was pregnant, so to speak. So like that. So that thing right there knocks that out. So that solves that. I just like I said, everything. We look forward to the next episode. So what this thing goes to, and I'm gonna start it right now saying, as an idea that way it was not a bad idea. But since they borrowed too much from Big Finish and not giving credit what it's due, it gets the Bozak. And that's what's gonna happen when I give my rating to it. It gets the Bozak, and I'm sick and tired of that nonsense. They can fuck off with all I care. You need to fucking wake up, BBC. Stop borrowing too much from Big Finish and not giving credit what it's due.
Alrighty, yeah, because it seemed to me like somebody else, borrowed a lot from Big Finish. But I could take a week to tell you all of that. Okay, moving up. Let's keep going. Let's go to Graham.
How in the hell am I supposed to follow that? Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed this. It was a decent outing. The guys have alluded to various episodes that are harping back to Castrovalva has been mentioned with the changing of the rooms. I got a wee vibe of Ghostlight in this as well, just with the atmosphere and the vibe. The Cyberman was a good concept. It'll be interesting to see how that's played out of the next two-part finale. And again, it seemed as if all the cast had something to do here, possibly with the exception of Yaz. And the good thing with this week was you didn't need to separate them through different locations this time around. So props there. Everybody was on their game. Interesting portrayals of the historical figures in this one, but it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. And I enjoyed this. So yeah, 50 minutes, can't grumble. More to come.
All righty. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's go to Lady Neo.
Hello, everyone. I really like this episode. Not as much as last Sunday's episode, but this one was really good because, I have to agree with Graham. The moment I saw it, when they were doing that scary story and Yasmin's thick giant hat, I just said, am I watching Ghostlight? Wait a minute. No, this is a more current Doctor Who episode. So that was good. The story was good. The characters were good. The bit with the baby in that whole little, I think that was like a crate or something. I did think that when he put his hand in there and I thought he got the baby. I was like, oh my gosh. But overall, it was a really good story. I did notice Jodie was doing a bit of lecturing, but that was okay. But it kept me entertained. I was intrigued by how it says, oh, to me, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well. I loved it. I can't wait for next week. And it rolls right into it. Sorry.
All righty, let's keep moving. Let's go to Texas Tim.
Well, I agree with everybody. I think this was a pretty good story, a pretty good episode. They did a really good job of making it like a horror story. And the shifting of the rooms was something new that you don't always get. I thought that was pretty clever. What I particularly like is the horrific nature of the Cyberman, because he really does express that whole body horror thing that they don't always quite get across when there's just an army of them. You don't really think about it. But when you see the actual process, and this one seems to have been, like you said, interrupted, or he's not quite done yet. I mean, so you get that out of it. I like, too, that they've set this up to be like a prequel to something bigger that happens later, which is pretty cool. In other words, we're not going to see Mary Shelley next week. The story's going to move somewhere else, and we'll see where that goes, and hopefully it'll be good. But if there's one thing, I do think she was a bit too preachy. I agree with Neo on that, because, again, that's her nature, and she was in the middle of a big mess, and she was trying to figure it out. But to be fair, she's a bit hard on these guys, because, just a few episodes ago, oh, let's go play in the universe, kids. Let's have a great time. And then, when things don't get tough, she said, oh, it's all your fault. When she gives basically what's his name, the impossible choice, and he says the obvious thing: do you let one person die, you save millions? And she's like, it's not that simple, and she has to yell at him to tell him why. I thought that was a bit harsh on her part, but I can see where they were going with that. So I mean, that's forgivable. At least it didn't have anything to do with the environment. So I thought this was a pretty good episode. I thought they did a good job of making a scary episode for once. It was, kind of kept you guessing until the end. And Connor is right too. They did quite a few things that I wouldn't think they would get away with a BBC basically kids show. I mean, the whole business with the baby and stuff was kind of like, is he gonna, So I mean, we'll see if there's any fallout from that. But yeah, this was good.
All righty, let's keep moving. All right, last but certainly not least, let's go to Beefhead.
Yes, hello. Ray of Sunshine here again. And the lot of promotion this week has been only one more episode till the 2-part finale. And I think it actually did sell this episode short because this was well structured. There was a good reason for it being there. What I liked was that the Cyberman wasn't there at the start. They actually spent the time setting up the scene. Like Graham said, and I completely agree, and it's been a criticism of a lot of it, is that you managed to have everyone in their own location, in the same location, and they gave someone stuff to do. I agree with Connor as well. My complaints on this are few, to be honest with you. Everyone played a part, and it did. The first 20 minutes was done actually doing setup. If you look at the time when the Cyberman shows up, it is pretty much halfway through. I like the fact that it's an unfinished Cyberman. Like Tim said, body horror. And you get a bit of rage to it. He says he's not finished, I believe. He does say in the episode. So that's the situation with that. I liked the snapping of the neck of the maid in the box. It did add for tension, to be honest with you, although it's something that you don't necessarily see. And it opens up some interesting questions as into why the AI, the Cyberanium, I think they called it, a new element on the periodic table, opted not to go to the Cyberman. So I like that perhaps there's something more to this and why the Alliance sent it back through time. I'm intrigued as into why the skeleton hand went for Ryan and saw him as a threat. They've actually done something a bit well with Yaz as well, because she's actually contradicting the Doctor or going against the Doctor's wishes. So they've laid the seeds for that, and there's a reason for her doing that this week, which made sense. Same as Graham as well, got the ghost-like vibe, and Neo said that too. Castrovalva, to a little degree as well, the God Complex. So they did that sort of good setup there. I liked it. Byron was a real douche. Cracking on to the Doctor. And I get what Tim says, to be honest with you, but it was a really good sterling bit from Jodie, to be honest with you. They wrote her a good bit there saying it's not really a flat level team structure. I'm on top of the mountain. I'm going to make the hard decisions. And at the end of the day, I'm higher than you guys. I wish there'd been a little bit more foreshadowing to it because it is a tonal jump, but this is what we've wanted for a long time, and I'm glad they've done it. Maxine Alderton has done a really sterling job on this, and I feel you do overjump this at your peril. If I had to put a couple of criticisms in, you didn't really need the Sonic, so there was no point in having that, to be honest with you. You should have just left that. And the only other thing is the reading mind thing. I think you could have skipped the dancing scene, and instead of having the mind reading scene, because mind reading is one of those things that it's just a quick fix, and I don't think you need that. But that's a very small criticism in the grand scheme of things. A very, very solid episode, and I was really pleased with it. It gives you a lot of questions. It was brave, and like Tim said as well, you did have that body horror. If you look at the hands all cut and scarred and everything like that. So it does make for an interesting thing. Yeah, very good, very pleased.
Okay. I know my favorite scene, was the scene, the last couple of folks brought up, where, she lays it down. She goes, ultimately the final decision's mine. I'm the one who has to bear the responsibility of it. But at the same time, we know the reason why she's snapping. Well, we don't. She's still thinking about the fact that, oh, look, my home planet's been wiped out again. And that's still resonating even now as we come towards the end, that she's still dealing with that. And I love the way they're bringing it out little bit at a time in her performances over the last couple of weeks, where she's finally, snapping on the companions, which is something, you haven't seen her do, in last season at all. Okay, but all right, hands flew up. First one to go up was Paul, so I'm going to go to him.
Yeah, I just wanted to add 3 things. First, as Tim was talking about the let one man live and others die, that reminded me quite a bit of the 8th Doctor in Resurrection of Mars, Deimos, similar thing. And also when she says at the end, just remind me what the words are, sometimes even I can't win. That reminded me of 6th Doctor in Project Lazarus. He says, I don't always win. But I have a question as well. I'm not losing anyone else to that. Now, in my head, I thought of Bill. Am I right? Does anyone think I'm right there? Or
Yeah,
what?
that was Bill she was talking about.
Bill, Danny Pink. Yeah.
Yeah, Danny Pink.
Although,
I forgot that one.
Although, to be fair, Danny Pink was already deceased when it happened to him.
True.
Yeah, true.
Okay, next up, let's go to Connor.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the scene with Jodie. It could well be, and I think that this is not too far-fetched to say because of how, I wouldn't say weak the material is, but kind of mediocre. I think that might be her finest moment. That might be the defining moment of her Doctor, where, she does lay the law down, more so than she's ever done. And you can see like a genuine sort of anger in her performance. Having said that, one issue, and it's like, this is like nitpicking, I know, but there was a scene where I think she was talking to the Cyberman just after the Cyberman appears, and like she's talking to him normally, and halfway through, like she feels the need to like pull a face, like jerk her face around, and that's, I don't see why she does that still. Having said that, yeah, I think she was near flawless this episode, to be honest. I thought that she hit all the right notes to be a Doctor, to be honest, that she didn't necessarily hit before. Now, even though she has been improving this series, and it's kind of been an upward trajectory since Fugitive of the Doom. So yeah, the one nitpick aside, high praise for Jodie indeed, I think, this week.
Okay, William.
I like how Jazz was talking with Mary Shelley's stepsister, because in history, he was telling stepsister, don't be infatuated with your sister's husband. They're married, not to have romantic feelings for him. I had to look that up, and it seems she didn't listen to Jazz, and she did have a relationship with him and had a kid with him. So think about that. I hope we don't have to wait till the ending to find because we hear again Jazz say, "Oh, I wanted to say something to somebody, but I ain't got the time." I said, "You got 2 episodes left. Let's see how quick you're gonna say something." I just hope when the Doctor starts the next story, we find out how much influence or how the cause and effect of her decision makes. Because remember, the Cyberman went back to where he started from to restart a new cyber race or war. Who's the war with? Again, it could be with the Big Finish storyline or a whole new other alien race we don't know nothing about. And then again, we still don't know nothing about the Master and the other Doctor that appeared earlier in the series. So how this figures out, we don't know nothing.
I'm glad they touched on that because, yeah, Byron was supposed to be, well, to show you how old I am, he was the Mac Daddy of his time. He really was. The guy was a player and a half, at least from what I've read about him over the years. So I love the fact that, they picked up on that. I'm glad that, they didn't just wash him clean and make him this honest intellectual, because some say he gave great mind. But okay, let's go to DWC.
Yeah, one thing was well, I've got 2 things to talk about. One that was sort of annoying me, but that's because of my whole thing with spatial awareness, is the whole bit where they're all going down the rooms and they're all suddenly find themselves saying, okay, and we'll know what was actually happening with that, that's fine. Now, when they're all in groups, that's fine. There's this one bit with, I don't remember which woman it was, whether it was Mary or the other one, but when she had the baby crying and she went to go to find it, and then she's going up, suddenly she comes back from downstairs, and I'm just thinking, even with the explanation we've got of what's going up, I'm like, no, that cannot make any sense whatsoever. But that's just my one nitpick with it. But to carry on something what Tim said about how I can't remember the Shelley guy, I can't remember his first name. The whole thing with it was once that was actually great, right? Because it's once again the whole thing of sacrifice one person to save thousands. Now, usually when you have these storylines, they're done, frankly, rather badly, because it's always the same. You've got the one person who's probably married to the guy and say, how could you take this to my friend or my husband, and stuff like that. The fact that they actually did it, now it's not really a case of morals this time. It's actually a case of, no, time could be changed dramatically if we do this. I thought, finally, something that's actually good. I mean, like I said, we have these stories before. We had it with Rose's dad, and although admittedly everything was going to be destroyed if he wasn't bumped off. And we even technically had it in Torchwood, Children of Earth, with Jack's grandson. But this is kind of one of the first times where it is truly a no-win scenario, whatever happens. And I thought, finally, someone's written something quite great.
Okay, Beef.
I think the reason why this is good as well in an additional part is it's very good that they actually blended in works of Byron and Shelley into this. They actually managed to work in a modern Prometheus into the script as well, which is the subtext for the book. So subtitle for the book. So I like that as well, as a bit of a literature nerd as I am. But I think the two strongest episodes this season, this and probably Fugitive of the Jadoon, is while we know the Doctor is always the smartest person in the room, it's the one where they have no control of it and are on the back foot. And that was the good thing to see this week, that when the Doctor would always find another way or try to find another way. So you can't kill Shelley, and the idea that the Cybermen are inevitable. So she had to go against what would be the better judgment. And I think that's what made it good, that you've got her on the back foot. There actually was a sense of, I think, threat as well, because you had a Cyberman with emotion, slamming the desk and all the stuff off it and everything like that. And taking a swing for her and everything like that. There actually did look like peril at that point. So I like that. They did put her on the back foot, and then to write something that actually accompanies with it is good. I'm pleased to see. I think this is what a lot of us have been waiting for a long time, to actually make something sterling. I actually put this higher than Fugitive of the Jadoon in my rating of the season so far, because it does that effectively. And it's not one where you could say, oh, well, I'm seeing that you could say this has been borrowed or lifted slightly from other stories. It's a different format. It's a different setup than what we've had before. It's unfamiliar territory. So I like it because it's fresh. It's new.
Okay, Graham.
Yeah, Beef stole a lot of my thunder there, actually. I'd just say the whole peril thing was a nice concept at the end. The back foot thing is a unique angle you've got getting into the 2-part season finale, and it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Again, you can spin that speech at the end both ways. There'll be those sitting there saying, "Oh yes, punch in the air. We've been waiting on this." There'll be others going, "Well, there she goes, lecturing again." I'll just say, if that was any other Doctor, you'd be, slapping each other's behinds and giving yourself high fives. Just enjoy the moment and let's see where it goes.
Okay, Texas Tim.
Oh, I have a question. Did we find out exactly why it was sent back in time and into the body of Percy Shelley?
No.
So
No, it was you could say it was a computer program that was in the little silver disc he found in the water.
The mystery of could this be in fact something the Master did, or like you implied a while ago, William, or I mean, are they going to follow up with him since he was there at the beginning of the series?
Jack said they sent it back in time.
Yes,
Jack,
he mentioned some agency sent it back in time, whatever that was. So.
Oh, okay. So it was addressed then, because I was thinking, is this going to have something to do with that previous with the Master, of course, because we're expecting him to return at some point, and then of course the business with the new Doctor. hasn't really and isn't likely to be followed up in the next 2 weeks. But I just thought I was wondering if that had actually been addressed in the story, because it seems like, as hasn't been mentioned, there's a couple of things that weren't really followed up on or explained properly. But I'm pretty sure, if given it a second or third watch, you might understand exactly what they were doing, like with the bones and whatnot. So.
Okay, Philip.
Oh, there. Okay, right. The only thing that I found irritating to a certain level was the fact that the companions don't listen to the Doctor. She's saying to them at the end, "Look, I'm going somewhere where it's going to be very dangerous, and I don't want you lot being there." And yet they still go, "We'll come with you anyway." I wish they would listen to it. And why don't you just go, "Right, I'm dropping you home," and then fuck off to the sorry, excuse my language, and then go to the cyber war? Why don't you just do that? I'm not taking you with me. You're going.
They never have.
But that's the point, though. If one
They
of them
never
dies,
they never listen to her.
I know, but if one of them dies, it's on them. They should have listened to her in the first place. She knew what she knows what she's doing. They don't. So, you know.
But Phil, you got to remember that the Doctor's not being forthcoming with a lot of information to let them know, like, past incarnation and all the
But in a
other.
way, but in a way, she's being careless. She's bringing her companions into certain.
Then that's on the Doctor for being careless. That's on the Doctor for being careless.
How is she being careless when it was she posed to them, "You can come with me if you want, but you don't have to." So it's their decision. It's not hers. So you're actually blaming the Doctor for something that's not her fault.
And it's notorious that the companions never listen to the Doctor. They always wander off. I mean, that's just part of that's how they break them up and tell the story. So.
But they seen what the Cybermen can do. They seen what kind of threat it is. Do you want to go into that, into a battlefield of hundreds of those?
Philip, why are you complaining? You're wanting one or two of these bumped off by the end of this season anyway. I mean,
I'm not complaining, but I'm saying that if it happens, it's on their owners that they put themselves in that position.
Because I think she knows that this group is more intelligent enough that she's not going to be able to trick them off. They've already been keeping their eye on her, sort of, for the last few adventures.
I'm sorry, but all she's got to do is go flick the TARDIS, go back to Sheffield. Out you get. I'm off. I'll see you when I get back.
Yes, but would they listen then?
What are they going to do? Tired? She can just. I mean, she can just sit there and go, "I'm not moving until you go. I'm not gonna dematerialize until you go. Get out of the box."
You're just complaining for the sake of complaining, because to be fair, I mean,
I'm not complaining.
She could just go fly around and never go anywhere, and then where would you be? There'd be no point.
All right then. So
remember Philip, in another episode, they went out to see their family like that, and what she did, she got bored. So, I'm gonna jump a few hours so I can meet them up again like that. And that's
that's a different scenario though. This is a dangerous scenario they're heading into. That will cost them. That might cost them their lives, and they don't even think.
We find out next week what happens, right?
Well,
yeah.
With what Phil said, I don't know why Phil is picking on these particular companions, because I think previous companions haven't listened to the Doctor either.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah, but they've not been in that sort of situation where it's. This is a different sort of Doctor Who than what we had in the past. This is more of a, this is more bigger stakes.
I'm just thinking of all the times that, Joe Grant wasn't supposed to go with the third Doctor. Sarah Jane wasn't supposed to go with the Doctor.
Yeah, but that's just one
Perry and Time Lash as well.
Yeah, but that's one companion. She's got 3 to worry about on her hands, and that's not easy to juggle. Is it?
I think if you went down that route though, and she said, "Oh, I'm not going to do that," then the only dramatic way you could do that is them to come out and say, "Hey, we're family," and everything like that. And it just would have made for a really crap scene, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Phil, you're forgetting season 1, all right?
Yeah.
The Doctor sends Rose away so he could deal with the Daleks. What does she do? She opens the console, sees into the vortex, and comes back for him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Fair enough. But
then kills him.
Yeah, but exactly. But this is a different type of. This is a different time now to that time. This is a different sort of Doctor Who.
Is it?
I just think it's crass of them to think they can do everything. Because they're like brilliant fans. I just think it's stupid that.
What makes you say this is a different sort of Doctor Who?
Because it is. It's not like season 1. This is season 12 now. Totally different kettle of fish.
It's always the same format, Phil. It's not that different.
Yeah, I agree with Beef. If she had tried the jettison, we'd got another damn fam speech. And Okay, AJ, you've had your hand up for a while. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Just a funny thing at the beginning of the episode where they open the doors and they both scare each other. How is that possible? The doors have massive windows. They could have seen each other easily through the doors. And Ryan being challenged to a duel. I would like to have seen that.
Oh, goodness gracious, no. Oh, I can see that now. He'd point the gun the wrong way. Okay, Connor.
Bradley Walsh, I actually thought was the best part of this episode. He killed it this week, easily.
I agree.
He had the best comedic moments. He didn't necessarily have the best dramatic moments, but I think the comedic moments were genuinely funny, and that's to do with the writing mostly. But the way that Bradley Walsh is as an actor, I think that he was a great actor before, but it seems with Doctor Who, he's just getting better and better. And I think this week it was really a standout sort of episode for Graham. The whole ghost scenes and, the eating the sandwich and stuff. I actually thought that sandwich was going to be something deadly. And, he kind of haphazardly just consumed this poisonous whatever because the ghosts were after him or something. But, the way that he just handled every situation in that haunted house when, Ryan was on the staircase screaming his head off like a little girl was perfect. And it was so within character as well. So, yeah, I think Bradley Walsh was the standout of this episode by far.
Bradley Walsh stars in Ghost Sandwich. Okay, William.
In the episode we're saying that the Cyberman was coming through time. That's like in the scene when the vase was thrown against the wall. We didn't see the Cyberman. Then later on we saw it. It was happening. It doesn't explain about the two sort of ghosts that sees Graham. They don't talk to him at all. And so what are they from? Are they from a different time like that? And they just slip through the try to communicate with him, or actual ghosts from the house, which is unusual. That's a question I wish they answered next week real fast.
No, that's him ripping off for the witch in the well just to piss you off even more, Will.
Actually, no, I thought it had kind of like a Sapphire and Steel vibe at that moment. Was it just me, But okay, Beef.
Yeah, sort of Connor got there a bit before me, but the one thing they managed to do this week that they struggled to do previously is they really struck the landing on the comedy. Bradley Walsh's stuff wasn't really cringy where it has been in previous weeks, and I really like the valet, to be honest with you. His sarcasm, his very droll tone and rolling of the eyes really hit the mark. So it did, and even Tim said, that they were saying with the duel as well, that AJ said about the duel. Wanting to go to fisticuffs, so I'm going to go get my shooter and everything like that was superb. They actually struck that really well. And to a degree as well, I think the ghosting as well, because no one else sees them apart from Graham. So that makes for a good gag that sort of pays off in the end of it as well. So they really did succeed on that front to do comedy as well as the high drama that they managed to do this week.
Okay, Lady Neo.
Well, I thought Yasmin saw something in the hallway. Wasn't that the maid, or wasn't that the maid and she didn't see the child? That intrigued me for that part. But
No, she saw the silhouette, I think, of the Cyberman's what it was.
Oh, okay. Or that Percy guy. Maybe it was him. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was that Percy guy that she saw.
Yeah. Even though William isn't there. But I have a theory about what Graham saw, and I want to see if he sees anything in the next episode, because then it can confirm that theory. Yes, it could be that he saw ghosts and everything like that, but I think it's something else.
Could be he's getting his illness back and it's affecting his head.
Brain cancer. No. Yeah, bringing him ghost sandwiches. Okay, AJ.
I find it funny that in this episode with Graham talking at the end of the episode, "Hey Doc, I saw ghosts," and she goes, "Well, maybe you did see ghosts." Isn't it funny that Doctor Who constantly, since the classic season, has said ghosts don't exist? I find that really strange. Also, when the maid speaks French to Graham, he doesn't understand her. It wasn't translated, which I thought was weird too. And I really like the way Byron sees the world as nothing more than a massive graveyard that we just constantly walk through. through the past eons. I thought that was really cool imagery there.
Okay, Connor.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, as Beef said, the valet as well. He was great. Probably one of the best side character, I thought, because he was just comedic value through and through, and he did it really effectively. It was a bit like a Downton Abbey character, but it was... in fact, it reminded me a bit of like Richard E. Grant. It would have been funny just to get Richard E. Grant in there to play that role, to be honest. What else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, that thing about Graham seeing the ghosts. It would be interesting if they did link that into a storyline where, it's like a bit of foreshadowing to maybe the cancer, or, he's seeing ghosts because he's dying or something like that, and we don't know that yet, and he doesn't know that yet, because it links into then last week where he was asking about the doctor about the cancer, and we saw his worst fears. So I think that, to be honest, that could be a setup for something far more dramatic that we didn't expect, and it would satisfy me as a viewer to see a storyline develop like that with something so unexpected as seeing ghosts in a sci-fi show. That would be an interesting way to tackle it, I think, actually.
Okay, back to Texas Tim.
Well, AJ, to answer AJ's question about the ghosts, I think they were deliberately showing her contradict herself, because earlier in the episode she said, no, ghosts don't exist. And then later, when Graham questions her on it, she said, maybe they were real. So I mean, it is one of those things where the doctor's always contradicting himself or herself in this case. And as far as, I agree with you, Connor, on your assumption, but on the other hand, I don't think that's a symptom of cancer, brain cancer. I don't think hallucinations are. I could be wrong, but I would think that would be something more to do with Parkinson's or something, or what's the other one? The one where you literally have hallucinations. Alzheimer's, yeah. So I mean, you're right. That would be a good direction to go with that storyline, but I'm not sure people associate that with cancer.
Or we can, my theory is that as the Cybermen push through time, that it also caused like a shift. And that's why these two were appearing to Graham, is because it's a side effect of the Cyberman pushing his way through one way. At least that's my
sense. Yeah, that makes the most sense, because then you can also negate any problems with continuity as far as Mary Shelley is concerned. You can just say, different timelines, right, or something.
Okay, back to Paul. You're up, Paul.
Well, yeah, I was just trying to unmute with a keyboard. But yeah, I've just thought something that's nobody's mentioned yet as well. We've been introduced to a new Time Lord ability, or whatever she called it, taking someone mentally to their future death. An interesting new thing, isn't it?
I know, kind of creepy, ain't it? Okay, back to Graham.
Yeah, psychic projections of one's, whole life. Talk about your whole life flashing before your eyes. Sorry, Percy. That's an interesting concept. First time we've seen that on any medium. So you can call it a quick fix, or you can call it, a new ability. We'll see if it pans out again. On Connor's point with regards to the cancer, I agree it would be an interesting route to go down with regards to that storyline. But if you think Ofcom and the BBC were getting complaints last week, wait till you see them if that storyline ever hits.
That Cyberman was going to shake that baby. Okay, Philip.
I find it interesting that the TARDIS was not present, because it would have been quite easy for the Cybermen if they landed near the house. Wouldn't it have been easy for the Cybermen to commandeer the TARDIS and go once he got what he wanted? So it's interesting they left it out, but it would have been an easy get-out clause for the Cybermen to commandeer the TARDIS, I think.
Okay, Connor.
Well, for a start, how would the Cyberman get inside the TARDIS? Unless it blew the doors down, which I guess is impossible. And also what I was going to say about, the whole psychic abilities that they're giving Jodie. I feel in a way they make it too easy for her to work out the problems with these episodes, because she can just mind read someone. Or like, it felt like, when the Cyberman put his hand through the window and it was getting electrically recharged, it felt like all of a sudden, she had all the answers there without doing little to no figuring out. It just kind of like, it's almost like she just has to just wait around for a bit, and the answers just really
Enjoy
come
that.
without little investigatory work or stuff like that. It feels like, compared to other doctors, that they are a little easier on Jodie working out the problems than there would be with other doctors. That might be a nitpick, and I know that some people might not necessarily agree with me. But when I was watching that scene, and also her mind reading throughout all the times that she's really done it this series, that's the only impression I really get from it, to be honest, is that they're just making it too easy for her doctor.
Yeah, well, we've seen various different incarnations of the Doctor use different abilities. All the way back. Heck, remember when Susan was supposed to turn out to be like telepathic and all that? So we know Time Lords have various abilities that different humans, that humans don't have, or allegedly. But, I think it's just a case of the Doctor usually chooses not to use them. Like one of my favorite ones of all time was in Battlefield. Remember when Sylvester convinces the two guys to leave? He just kind of puts it into the thought into their head that you're very angry, you want to leave.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's one of my favorite ones. I think he has a lot of abilities. As a matter of fact, remember one of the abilities of the Master was he was an expert hypnotist and all that. And also we had Sal Yavin, who had the ability to put his own mind into other people. So it's not unprecedented that Time Lords have various different mental abilities. Heck, remember when the Time Lords first appeared? You've been dematerialized, and they zonked a person out of existence.
And they're forcing him to talk as well with it. Stop the lights, that bit.
As long as it isn't the mind probe. Okay.
No, not the mind probe.
Not the mind probe.
No, not the mind probe.
Had to do it. I'm sorry. All right, so we've gone on for a bit. Let's go ahead and we're going to rate this sucker and put it to bed unless anyone else had anything else they want to discuss. Okay, let's go ahead and put it to bed. We'll start from the bottom this time. Texas Tim, out of 10, how do you rate The Haunting of Villa Diodati?
I'm going to give it a 9.5. It was very entertaining.
Okay, Beef?
Villa Diodati, I'm going to give it a TripAdvisor rating of 8.25. The reason I do drop it down is, like I said earlier, and like Connor just said, I do find, although there's a precedent for it, that the mind reading thing is a bit of a quick fix. But aside from that, it was really solid, and this was perhaps, I think, the best one that they've had this year for doing something unique. It comes away with you giving questions, having questions about what's going to come in the future, and also about why what happened in the episode happened. And to be honest with you, the only other cringy moment I think was just a bit with Mary Shelley's sister sort of dressing down Byron at the end of it. Yeah, obviously you've got to have a little bit of a girl power speech in the Me Too times, I suppose. But yeah, for the most part, it was very, very solid. Did what it did. Yeah, there were reasons that they found out why what happened. Not everything fell in their lap. They didn't make it too easy. I know what Connor's saying. I get the point. In previous episodes, there has been that. But yeah, I'm very, very pleased.
All right, Lady Neo.
I'm going to have to give this a 9.5 out of 10. I did love the story. I felt like I was watching Ghostlight. Note to self, I'm going to go watch that later. And the story was good. The characters were good. I would love to see what happens next because of the Doctor's decision. And I did get that Frankenstein feel from the Cybermen.
All right, Graham.
For me, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Unless the two-part finale severely knocks my socks off, this is top 2 of this season for me thus far by a long, long way, and probably top 5 in Jodie's era thus far. So give us more of this, please.
All right, William.
I got to give props to the writer for writing this episode. I hope the writer comes back next season. But any fans who listen to this audio, when this pops out on YouTube, like I said, listen to this to find out what happened with the cyber war. That solves that. Now for my rating, like I said before, it gets a Bozak. It gets a 0. I'm sick and tired of them biting from this and all the audios to make a story. But that's my rating, and you can suck on that.
And Nick Briggs and Jason Hagelry are proud of you. Okay, AJ.
Yeah, for me, 8.75. I really liked this story. It was quite dark and gritty. So more of this, again, like from Graham said, please.
All right, Bo.
I'm giving it a 9. It was a really great story.
All right, DWC.
Gets a 9 from me.
All right, Paul.
This was really good one. Exciting and scary at the same time, and I like the leaving a room and coming back again. That bit, and then the really probably scariest Cyberman I've ever seen. So this gets a 10 from me.
All right, Philip.
I've already given this a 9.5 in my head earlier on after it aired. And Maxine Alderton, she'll be back next season because she's going to be the core writer. So well done to her, and look forward to what she's got to give us next time.
All right, Callan.
Yeah, I really like this. As I said, I'm going to give this a 9. And as for that, possibly being the ghost, seems to be a throwback to a Scooby-Doo episode. When one time somebody saw something and said, "What about that one person that saw that?" Well, perhaps it was a ghost.
I got her.
It gets an 8 from me.
All right, I'm going to give it a 9. Like I said, very well done, very well paced. The atmosphere was just right on. It was a nice kind of like gothic feel horror to it. And it was, reminded you a lot of different things. Like I said, like Sapphire and Steel, ghost lights come up multiple times. It gave you just that right feel and that right bit of suspense. Gotta love this one. Well, folks, don't forget to join us next week when we begin the 2-part finale. Ascension of the Cybermen.
And
does
yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Well, that does look like we're back on Earth again.
Yeah.
It's just Ascension of the Cybermen. It just sounds like a bunch of them got on an elevator. Okay.
11. Yeah.
Until then, all I can say is sleep well, brush your teeth, be good, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Dead people.
Yeah.